keep them for educational shows, especially when you don't see a lot of wildlife here this time of the year. We see most of the wildlife in the Everglades in the winter and spring, so our dry season. But these guys don't live in this area forever. We rotate them out of here on a regular basis, and when they retire from our park, we donate them to a zoo. It is illegal to release them into the wild because they're not afraid of people like wild alligators are. So by law, they have to stay in captivity. And here in captivity, we give these guys a diet of mainly chicken and fish with bone. In the wild here, they love fish and turtles, but they're opportunistic. They'll eat smaller alligators, they'll eat snakes, birds, otters. They just don't eat as frequently as humans. For one, they don't move around as much as we do. For two, temperature plays an important role. So typically, the less an animal species moves around, the less they usually eat. The more often an animal moves, the more often they'll eat. So these guys do eat a big fish or a turtle when it's hot like today. A meal like that, it might last them like 5 days to a week before they eat again. That's why we feed them somewhat small pieces of food in here. Now there are 10 different states that have alligators in them. So a colder state that has them in the wintertime, a big fish there, it might last them like a month before he's hungry again. And if they're healthy enough and they're an adult, these animals are known to go much longer without food. Rocky! Jumps! Jumps! Okay, so they're alligators, but they're under an order called crocodilians. So there's actually 24 types of these animals, and they're found all over the world, places that are warm near the equator. So you have two species of alligators on the planet, the American alligator and then the Chinese alligator. There's 15 species of crocodiles around the world. We have one in the southern part of the Everglades known as the American crocodile. There are 6 species of caiman. Caiman are in the alligator family, and they're naturally found in Central, South America, parts of the Caribbean. And then there's one called a gharial. Gharials are native to India, Pakistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh. And they have the skinniest, narrowest snout out of all the species. So these animals have a long life. They can live as long as humans. It's not uncommon to have real big ones, twice as big as these guys. It could be over 80 years old. And doesn't he have a nice smile? He does have about 80 of those teeth, 40 on top, 40 on bottom. They shed their teeth. They go through about 3,000 teeth in their lifetime. Those teeth are hollow. They stack on top of each other. So if they eat something and a tooth breaks off, the other one continues. They just keep growing right behind it. Buster! Their eyes are extraordinary. They're like on springs. They're able to spring down and retract into cavities in their skull for protection. Then they spring back up again. So I'm going to demonstrate that on the big guy here. I'm just going to gently touch his eyes. Greedy. Alright, so watch his eyes. Boop, they pop right down. Boop, they pop right back down. It doesn't bother him. It's totally natural. It's for protection. Boop, boop. Now they have another eyelid they use when they go under the water. That one's called a nictitating membrane. That one covers their eyes left to right. So under the water, they do have some visibility, some protection under the water. And can you guys spot their ears? Look close, just behind their eyes. You're going to see that little slit that comes out of the corner of their eye. These are their ears. So alligators are the most vocal of all the reptiles. They talk to each other all the time. They hiss, they bellow, they growl, they grunt. And then all the bony bumps you see on their back, we call osteoderms. Osteo meaning bone, derm meaning skin. So these here are individual pieces of bone. They float in a little layer of skin above their backbone. It is bone, so it's like armor. It does protect them a little bit, but they really act like solar panels. They'll sit in the sun, they'll absorb heat through those bones, goes right into their body, and that helps them digest food, gives them energy. The biggest alligator on record in Florida is 14 feet long, 3.5 inches, 1,043 pounds. That's double the size of these guys in here, and males do get much bigger than females. So guys, as I mentioned real quick earlier, wild alligators do have a natural fear of people, and that's if you don't interact with them or feed them. And this is why it's illegal to feed alligators in Florida. If you guys feed an alligator in Florida, our maximum punishment is 60 days in jail and up to a $5,000 fine. Once you feed them, that's it. They're no longer afraid of us. After that, they recognize humans with food. They approach people kind of expecting food, and then that's when accidents happen. So thankfully, since they have a fear of people, there hasn't been a lot of fatalities. I'll give you those statistics if you're curious. 30 people in 73 years have been killed by alligators in the United States since 1948. It's 0 from the crocodiles that live here, the native crocodiles. It's definitely tragic that happened to 30 people in 73 years. Guys, don't get me wrong. These animals can be dangerous if you don't respect them. But what do those statistics tell you, my friends? You know what it tells me, guys? You are actually much, much safer to be here walking around the Everglades than you are the streets of Miami. So be careful when you go back to the city. So if you do see these animals anywhere around the park Florida, we recommend staying at least 15 feet away from them. Obviously don't feed them, and please don't throw rocks at them or poke them with sticks to see if they're alive. Just try to get a good picture. All right, so here in the national park comes with some rules and regulations, and one of the rules in the national park is you can't take things out of a national park like fruit or lilies or even a dead snail shell, and you can't touch or pick up animals due to the safety of the animals and guests. So the national park will not allow us to let you guys hold one of our little alligators, but they have